Welcome to the DIY Writer Show with the mild-mannered, slightly heroic host, Jeff Bacon.
This is Jeff with the DIY Writer Podcast, and today I have CT Phipps. CT Phipps, if you don't know him, you should probably know about a Supervillainy series, but he's got a ton of other series that we're going to talk about. He's got a new book coming out in February of 21, so that's something to look forward to. Now, let's just jump right into it. CT, how you doing today?
Hey, glad to be here.
Cool.
I'm doing well.
Cool. So what can you tell us about your books?
Oh, well, I have quite a few out after 5 years of writing, and sometimes successfully. But my most famous books, so to speak, are the Supervillainy Saga, which is a 7-book series, the 7th one coming out this February, starring Gary Karkovsky, a.k.a. Merciless, the supervillain without mercy. Yeah, trademark. He's a ordinary guy who finds a magic cloak that belonged to the biggest superhero of his hometown, and he decides that once he gets it, with great power comes greater responsibility. Unfortunately, he's not quite evil enough to be a supervillain in this town, which is the dingy part of Gotham City, crossed with the even dingier part.
Okay. So what makes it so he's not quite a supervillain? Is that what you're saying?
Not quite there. I like to use the term anti-villain for what I went for there, just as we've got anti-heroes like Wolverine and the Punisher. He's just not quite bad enough to pull it off there. You know, entirely down with the thievery and mischief there. Not quite good in the killing of the innocent, destroying the heroes bit is there. He ends up actually fighting his fellow villains as often as the goodies, and well, that just is how it works somehow.
Huh. So it's kind of that middle ground, you know. I really want to be bad, but you know, it can't be that bad.
Oh, yes. The opening chapter is him planning to rob a bank that he used to work with, but then he ends up stopping another group of people robbing it, and then he steals the cash anyway, which I think summarizes his character in a nice little nutshell.
Oh, very cool. And you've got 6 of these out or 7?
I have 6 of these books out, and the 7th is just being finished today.
Wow. So 7.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good run. How long are they?
Oh, they're short, easy bite reads. They're about 250 pages, 70,000 words, around that. I like to think of them as brain candy, so to speak. I wrote them not to be the next George R.R. Martin, which I'm sure everyone thought I would try to do, because my ego at the start of my writing career was not quite as rainy as it should be. But no, these were just meant to be things you open up, finish up in an afternoon. I especially recommend the audiobook versions because my narrator, Jeffrey Kafer, does a fantastic job getting down Gary's sardonicism.
Cool. But you've got plenty of other books out there. I see you got the Agent G, which you just released an omnibus on, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yep.
Oh, yes. Agent G is also narrated by the same guy, but it's a trilogy that I've assembled into an omnibus, and it's my cyberpunk thriller series. I had the idea of, what if you did the kind of cyberpunk corporate espionage mercenary story from the perspective of the villainous henchman, in this case, G. He works for a corporation called the International Refugee Society, which obviously isn't anything to do with refugees, that provides the rich with specialized mercenaries and assassination services. But G doesn't actually have much of a choice in this, because he and the other agents of this organization have all had their memories wiped. They will get it back after 10 years of service. Honest.
Huh.
Yeah. G doesn't quite believe that he's going to get it back if he manages to end his term correctly. But he has to proceed carefully in case he might lose everything, because he has just enough remains of the person he was before to know that he had someone he wanted to return to, and is desperate to try and get that back. So it's a little cat and mouse cagey kind of thing, a little Total Recall, a little Ghost in the Shell, and we had a lot of fun there.
Cool. Cool. So you got that. Now let's talk about your other series that we were talking about beforehand that you were talking, the like the American Weird Deer in Michigan.
Yeah. That's part of the United States of Monsters, which was I was a tabletop gamer in my high school years, but I was definitely more of the World of Darkness, Vampire the Masquerade kind of crowd than Dungeons and Dragons. And I just decided to get into the urban fantasy genre, like so many other authors who don't quite realize how bad they're competing with so many other people. But rather than do romances and just play the whole thing seriously, I was like, what if I did something akin to True Blood, in that the monsters have come out and they're now among us, but they're not quite as terrifying as they are sardonic. I went a little more, there's some terrifying monsters in this thing, but I went more Buffy and Josh Whedon than I did straight up interpretation. And I Was a Teenage Weredeer was my first idea. That one is less Buffy than Veronica Mars if she turned furry. There's this girl, Jane Doe. She lives and yes, her parents must hate her for giving her that name as a weredeer. Yes, she lives in a small Twin Peaks town where everyone knows everyone, and there's just dark secret upon dark secret. And after her brother gets arrested for supposedly killing his girlfriend, Jane decides to try and prove his innocence, even though that means uncovering all sorts of dark secrets that would make the fact it's full of shapeshifters seem quite quaint. And that's the first series of books in the United States of Monsters. The next one is Straight Outta Fangton, which is about a poor black vampire who works the graveyard shift. Yes, I call it Blades meets Clerks.
Blades meets Clerks.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So it sounds like you kind of have a jovial way of writing. Everything's kind of tongue in cheek and a little bit not quite serious.
Yeah. And there's another book that I made as a standalone prequel for the United States of Monsters, which is called Psycho Killers in Love, which is an homage to 80s slashers. Yes, it's like this brother and sister pair have just gotten out from under their Freddy Krueger-esque father's thumb, and they meet up with a final girl who hunts slashers for a living, and from there they make the most enjoyable team up. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh yeah, all of these are like trilogies. They're in there, and I have a couple of other series I want to do in this world, but it's just fun to make a shared universe where characters can reference each other, or at least nods that quick-eyed readers can pick up on.
Yeah. What about this Lucifer Star and Lucifer's Nebula, and what's that all about?
Well, when I saw The Force Awakens, I decided that I could write a better Star Wars sequel.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Lucifer Star is my R-rated space opera, and it's it's another series that I really need to finish off there, because I keep starting these wonderful projects and I get into the second book, but I need to finish the third one to get it there. And I think I've done that with Agent G and my Red Room series, but I've got to go again, get every one of these series off. And Lucifer Star is 2 books in to the series, and it's just a little Firefly, a little Blade Runner, and a little Star Wars. And it's about the guy who was a ace pilot, heroic warrior, and champion of his side, and only after they lose does he realize, wait, I was the bad guy during all this. It's kind of like set up after the equivalent of the Battle of Endor. Is like, oh wow, I was those rebels really had a point, and he ends up being just a half pirate, half smuggler kind of figure there, but carrying a lot of guilt that Han Solo never did.
Yeah. Cool. So you seem to do a lot of writing. What do you do in your spare time?
Oh, there's no such thing. When you're in order to make it as an indie writer, your spare time has to be writing, and your job is your fun.
Oh, okay.
I do it. Yeah.
Don't do any gaming or anything like that, or go to any conferences?
Well, the funny thing about gaming is, well, you're either writing or marketing, but with gaming, I can always just say like, well, this is research. I can put that on my taxes that playing Watch Dogs is things I have to look up for Agent G.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anyone buys that, but it does give a little brief slice there.
Cool. So what do you do for marketing?
Well, with marketing, the real thing you need to do, excuse me, as an indie author is build relationships with your reader that people in the big six don't really have to worry about, but it's always good to have there. No one wants or benefits from you just like spamming lists you join and so on, all that. For you have to make sure that you make yourself available on social media, but don't try and push your work on them. Instead, just share what you like about the genre, talk, and eventually, if people like what they read, they'll want to maybe check out your books. I do belong to a lot of writing groups and review groups, and I try and be part of the community there. And once you build those friendships, they build dividends. They share your stuff, and you share their stuff, and we see what happens.
Cool. So, any good groups that you'd recommend other people to go into?
Well, I have a fan club, so you can join that on Facebook. It's called the CT Phipps.
Go ahead.
If I were to recommend places to check out really good reviews, I do reviews on booknest.eu, which is one of the largest fantasy sites for reviews out there on the internet. Also, I would recommend Grimdark Magazine, which is a online publication that I've had a lot of good fun writing for. I've been in like 5 or 6 of their magazines with articles.
Oh, so you know Michael Myers?
Yeah. The one that's immediately thinking of, like, is he referring to the serial killer on Halloween?
No, I'm talking about the serial editor.
Yes, I do know there was, but that my mind just immediately wanders there because I mostly review horror movies there.
Oh, okay.
You're wondering about it, but yeah, Adrian Collins is the editor. I befriended him, and he was very nice to give me a role of reviewing things that I already loved. I love dark and edgy fiction.
Cool. Pour myself another cup of coffee here real quick. So, tabletop games. What's your favorite game to play? What did you play when you were young?
Well, when I was in high school, I was nothing but the World of Darkness there. But I also play
no Monopoly or Candyland or anything like that.
No, nothing like that. There was Vampire, Mage, Werewolf, and all that other stuff. And eventually, I moved on, and I did do some Call of Cthulhu and Eberron, and which is the D&D, I know, but I lied and gave myself some Call of Cthulhu. I actually did a Call of Cthulhu book too, just to give you an idea about how many genres I've dabbled in. Cthulhu Armageddon.
Oh yeah?
Yes, that's the post-apocalypse Cthulhu book, where the great old ones arose and we could do absolutely jack shit about them. They crushed the world's militaries in like 5 minutes, and now it's an alien wasteland where humanity is struggling to survive in little pockets.
Oh, so it's kind of like Minnesota.
I think I said something to the effect of in the foreword is like, yeah, what if we combine Call of Cthulhu with Mad Max and Fallout?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind going in odd directions, and it's not like people needed another typical Lovecraftian story to do. If you're going to do something with someone else's characters, you might as well do something new.
There's enough of that Lovecraft stuff out there.
Oh yeah, it was kind of funny there that I did meet some wonderful fellow Lovecraftian authors like Ruthana Emery's and Matt Ruff and people, and he of course now has his own HBO show, so good for him.
Yeah, I saw that. Have you watched it?
Oh yeah, I'm going to be one of those literary snobs and saying like, they could have kept it a little closer to the actual book there, but it seems like everything needed to be way more edgier than it needs to be since Game of Thrones.
See, I've seen it a couple of times, and I'm like, I can't push play in it. I don't know why, but I just haven't done it yet. I haven't gotten through my entire, my yearly trip through the Three Stooges yet. I guess I don't know, but I just haven't been able to watch that one yet.
Oh well, I think with Lovecraft Country, it's when it's very good, it's very good.
Yeah.
And when it's very bad, it's very bad. There's a couple of episodes that I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
And I have a very high tolerance of that. Yeah.
too many times I watch stuff that is based on a book or books that I like. And you're horribly disappointed and I don't enjoy it. And that's one of those things, that's one of those ones that's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna watch it or not. See how I can crush my soul.
Well, they did a very good job adapting The Expanse, which is another series that I started before it got adapted, and I really enjoy that take on it.
Yeah.
But there are rare adaptions that I really think managed to capture the spirit.
See, I thought The Witcher was weird. I mean, I was really looking forward to that one, and I got my hopes up and everything else. And then after I got done watching it, it's like, yeah, boy, I like the books better, way better. But
well, it's funny there because the first season is an adaptation of The Last Witch, which is different from all other parts of the Witcher canon. So that was going to be a hard job adapting that to begin with. The Witcher series started with, some funny fractured fairy tale stories about Geralt wandering into Beauty and the Beast or whatever. And that's just fun, but it's not what everyone else associates with the video games or the novels.
Right. The one that I enjoyed, Altered Carbon, I thought that was pretty good.
Altered Carbon, I have strong feelings on because being again that I write cyberpunk thrillers, and it was a major influence on me. It was like the first season is fantastic. I absolutely love it. I literally hate the second season, and I rarely say that about fiction. I had to watch the entire thing, but I hated every second.
The first one was absolutely amazing. I would agree with you on that. I didn't hate the second one. It wasn't what I expected in the second season. But I didn't hate it. I didn't love it.
I think, well, I have nothing against Anthony Mackie, and I liked his attempts, but they skipped over an entire book after a relatively faithful adaptation in the first season, and they went to the third book, and then they focused on a love story that more or less is invented for the show. And I'm like, no one really wanted this. They were really enjoying the dark, edgy, even sleazy, anti-capitalist noir fiction here. And
that's a good point.
I mean, cyberpunk is all about being dark and gritty despite high tech. Technology has only given the rich better ways of screwing us.
Yeah.
At least that's my interpretation of how cyberpunk can be summarized in about a couple of sentences. Episode 3, I'm like, huh? What? Who?
I don't know. Like I said, that second season, I was looking forward to another season of it. I was hoping they wouldn't have canceled it, but
oh yeah, well, that's the thing. There's only 3 books, and if you do the third book as the second season, you've kind of shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be the first time they took liberties with something.
True, I know.
True enough. So what else you got?
Oh well. You're going. I would love to toot my own home for as long as humanly possible, but
go ahead, toot away, man.
I think I really enjoyed writing. Excuse me, 1 second. I had a cough.
That's all right. We're all human here.
But yeah, I really the experience of writing the Supervillainy saga is kind of interesting because that was a book I never actually expected to take off the way it does. If you check on the Audible page there, we have some decent numbers there, a couple of hundred ratings for Agent G, about 400 ratings for Cthulhu Armageddon, because that's dealing with an already popular subject, and so on. And then we go on to the Rules of Supervillainy, which has 4,500 ratings, because it just hit at the right time of people wanting a silly, fun book to get them through their day, and at the height of the MCU.
Yeah.
I also think that the fact that there's a girl who very strongly resembles Harley Quinn.
That doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and a guy who looks like Emperor Palpatine's kid brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cover that sort of had the exact right of mixture there.
That is probably your best cover, looking at them.
I love all of the covers there. They have some great ones. That just wonderful art there. But the whole the usual suspects lineup that I've been doing for the Supervillainy saga helps. That some guy actually did it into one big large banner, and it's I really I turned that into my wallpaper. But yeah, no, I didn't expect the Supervillainy saga to be anything more than a single book I did, because I was trying to write a serious book that would be, you know, all the one series that I became famous for, and I had all this trouble trying to get it out there. But while writing it, I had a bunch of joke and humor ideas I didn't put in the other book that never actually got released, and I just decided, well, if I just put everything, all these crazy fun antics into one book, I can get out of my head and get onto my real writing. And that's, of course, the series that took off. And I had a lot of fun there, because Gary's adventures are very easy for me to write, because the dialogue is really the heart of it. Every character in the book is a smart ass. There's Gary, his henchwench Cindy, who is the girl on the other girl on that. She was trying to put herself through medical school by being a henchwoman to various supervillains, and she and Gary practically grew up together.
Okay.
There's Diablo Man. He was a big villain in the '90s, but unfortunately, he's well past his heyday, because when you're a supervillain for X number of decades, unless you have a way of cloning yourself a new body, all that damage from getting beaten up by superheroes adds up. But he's a source of wonderful, not quite wisdom for Gary in becoming a supervillain. He's the one who teaches him the rules of supervillainy, like, you know, when to use a death trap versus actually kill people.
Do you have like a retirement home for supervillains?
I think the majority of them don't quite make it to retirement age there. Diablo Man is both blessed and cursed for that. Yeah. What's a retirement home for aging supervillains past their prime? Jail.
Yeah, well, maybe they just retire.
Oh yeah, well, some do.
You know,
but if you don't have the mindset for megalomania, you wouldn't be a supervillain in the first place. It's actually part of the joke there that Gary has a very romanticized view of supervillains, because his brother was like a Black Manta, Captain Cold kind of character. When he was growing up, and his brother then died tragically, and Gary just kind of rewrote it in his head that his brother wrongly died, and it was a much more heroic figure than he was.
Huh.
So when Gary finally debuts as a supervillain and anti-hero, everyone is like, you realize that they're just a bunch of murderous thugs, right? And he's like, no.
Kind of reminds me of was that on Prime? I think The Boys.
Oh yeah.
Have you watched that?
Oh yeah. I very definitely think the show is I think Garth Ennis is improved by dialing back like 50% of his Ennisness, which I think the Boys and the Preacher show did, and they're both better for it. I mean, they're still edgy as hell there. They're just not trying quite so hard.
Yeah. I thought the first season was kind of a reach. I don't know. I like half liked it, half didn't. The second one, yeah, that was better.
I think the show is an improvement over the comics, but it does not quite, I think, know what to do with its storyline, at least until the very end there. I mean, it has the evil Homelander, but you can't stop him without stopping the entire series. So
yeah, it was. It's probably I can't. Is there another season coming out of that? I don't think there is.
I don't think they've canceled it. Actually, I think they are going to be redoing it for a third season. But I
really
could be. Well, yeah. I mean, it was a decent ending ish. I think with the way that they did. Yeah. I mean, there's shows that end on cliffhangers. There's shows that end with finality, and there's shows that's like, okay, if they ended here, this is an okay place to stop.
Okay, they ended that with Homelander whacking off on top of a building. I mean,
I was thinking more like they managed to take down the Nazi girl, but hey, that's
yeah.
What you focus on is what you focus on.
I was sitting there, and I thought it was a pretty good ending, and then all of a sudden that came up. I'm like, what the hell is this? Okay, whatever.
Well, that's the most Enos thing they could have done for it, though.
It was just dumb. I was like, why did that have to be there? I mean, it was fine the way it was, and then he switched to him, and it's like, okay. All right, idiots. Whatever. But that's proof that really poor writing can work.
Well, if they ever want to pick up my books for a Netflix adaptation, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
Then
Don't I put
I
in a good
wouldn't
word
mind
for
it.
you, do you?
Yeah. That was a funny thing there. It's like my fans were saying, like, well, what if they ruin it? It's like, I don't care.
No. Then you can just come on and say, you know what, the books are way better than the series.
Oh yeah, it's kind of hilarious because that's actually me stealing an anecdote from Jim Butcher of the Dresden Files. Because when he had his series adapted for the Science Fiction Channel, I was a regular board member on his forum, and all these people came to his forum to complain and talk about how they shaded the show. And then Jim Butcher would argue with them because he really loved the show. Also, he was getting paid.
That's funny. I didn't so they're coming on how much they hated it.
Oh yeah, they were coming down the forums just to because fans haven't changed there. The only
Yeah.
people, yes, the thing people will talk about how much they like a show there a little, but they will talk at length for days about how they didn't like this adaptation and how every little change was for the worst.
Huh.
And they were doing it on Jim Butcher's forums there, but Jim was like, "No, I love this show. Why are you bad mouthing it?" And then hilariously, some of the fans would argue with him over it.
That's funny. I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
really funny.
yes.
But yeah, why wouldn't you love it if somebody made I mean, even if it was really horrible, it's like, yeah, I love it. They paid me.
Absolutely terrible adaptation there. But now more people are going to buy my books because of it.
Yep, absolutely. You can't buy that type of advertising.
Oh no, not at all.
Not at all.
Uh,
So what else you got for me, man?
Oh well, I really enjoyed the whole Gary's journey that I had with the Supervillainy saga, because as silly as the books are, I mean, you have to have some kind of emotional core to carry you from from chapter to chapter. And with that was I managed to tap into a few things that I didn't even realize I was stewing under there. But as weird as that world is, and I really went to elaborate lengths to make this as overtly comic book universe as possible. Everything from time travel, aliens, magic, all that stuff. Just don't ease the readers into it like they do in the MCU. No, it's all there from the beginning. It's just Ultra God, the Superman XP, beat up and kidnapped Hitler and Stalin at one point in their history. It's just like gonzo wacky stuff. And I did all that there, but I was managed, I think, somehow to keep Gary being the guy who really just wants to succeed, and do something big with his life that resonates there from all the Peter Parkers and other characters that have that kind of emotional normalcy that everything else is built on, even however crazy.
Mm.
And I don't want to spoil anything, but I did actually manage to create a consistent story that I hope will carry the books to 12 whole volumes.
Oh wow.
So I'm about halfway through. Yeah, I mean, it's a big project there, but people are still buying it. So let's see what we can do.
You might as well you might as well, if you can get 12 books out of it, what the heck?
Oh yeah, it helps that I'm published by Crossroad Press, which is I like to think of as the Image Comics for the big six sects, because it's primarily populated as a mid-tier publisher by people who got really bad deals despite being really famous. It does people like Clyde Barker, Brian Lumley,
Okay.
R.A. Keith DeCandio, really some amazing authors there, and they're just doing their own little private projects with Crossroad Press. They also did the Stargate novels for a long time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, and the Vampire the Masquerade ones, which I helped them rearrange the republishing of. And they're a great bunch, and they really are supporting me in my series, and I've done well. I think that a lot of indie authors either think, oh, self-publishing will be easy, or promotions, or they get stuck with small tier publishers who probably some in the world but never deliver anything. And I have some bad stories there myself, and I'm lucky that I got with my current guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that say it's purely luck lining up with the right publisher.
There's a much easier way of getting around that. Is you talk with authors before you try and sign up with anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, just look them up on the internet. There, a little research can save you a big. One publisher I was involved with didn't pay me for 2 years.
Oh, really?
Oh yes,
That's
they'd
handy.
already. Yeah, they took all the money from my books and then used it to spend on getting other books published. It's like, oh, once we hit it big, we'll pay you all back. I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works, man.
That's very nice of them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you're such a book philanthropist.
Yeah. It would be nice to have been told that I was such a book philanthropist. Yes.
Yeah.
Or agreed to it ahead of time.
Right. And that's very charitable of you. We'll just take your money and use it for other projects.
Yes, let's go put on the song, Take the Money and Run.
Yeah, no kidding. So you got out of that.
Oh yeah, like I said, I ran into a couple of really bad book deals before I eventually managed to hook with Crossroad Press, and I'm grateful for the opportunity there. They are a really solid bunch of people, and I tried to pass that along to some other authors that had run into their own issues. They helped me there too, and I have plenty to recommend as a result.
Good. All righty. So we've hit publishing. We've hit almost all of your books, or not really, actually. What other book you want to plug? You got The Art of War. You got Schloon.
I would have to let's go with. I have one more series that I just completed. That's still part of the United States of Monsters, and that would be the Red Room series, which is based on the book that I was going to try and write an entire massive number of books for, and was going to be my big breakout series. I had the idea for combining James Bond with Harry Dresden.
Okay.
Yeah. The idea was, the first book was called Esoterrorism, which I found out a tabletop gaming series had a similar title to. But
oh, really?
Oh yes, that led to some problem, but no relation. Esoterrorism is about Derek Hawthorne, who is a supernatural secret agent who works for the organization that covers up all the supernatural in the world. And this takes place before the big reveal of all the supernatural in the other series. So obviously they're going to fail at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his idea is he basically thinks he's working for the Men in Black, but he's working more or less for the Illuminati, and just like these guys who are supposedly covering up the supernatural for the good of the public are actually doing it just because if you're a wizard and no one knows you're a wizard, you can get away with pretty much doing anything and being as rich and powerful as you want.
True.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's really fighting for who has the most supernatural clout behind the scenes, be it the vampires, or the wizards, or whoever. And eventually Derek turns against them, and in the second book, it's Derek versus Dracula. Because I'm thinking, like, well, I'm going to just go out. Why not?
Why
the third
not?
book is called The Fall of the House, which is obviously where the house falls.
Okay.
And the organization.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, the organization is called the House, so it kind of is kind of a spoiler about what happens. I had a lot of fun with that book there, but it was a book that my first publisher didn't publish for 3 years.
Oh, really?
And it was, yes, because they had overbought out the rights to a bunch of books, believing that Walking Dead would result in a massive zombie renaissance. But it turns out that people were not watching The Walking Dead and then reading zombie books. So they just kept pushing. So they just decided to start spacing out their purchases, and mine kept getting more delayed there. And I wrote for other series in the meantime, like Gary, that were actually successes. And finally, when I was like, "Are you ever going to publish this?" And it's like, "Probably not." So I got the rights back and tried to publish it with someone else, and they were the people that didn't pay me for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go back to them.
So it was only about last year that I finally got the rights back and getting paid for them and republished with Crossroad Press. So it's been a long journey with that one.
Huh.
It's kind of fun.
You go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was just kind of funny there. It's now the prequel to the United States of Monsters series, because I wrote all these other books that I released afterward that were set in the idea of where I had planned to take the series.
Yeah.
But they came out first because that book had been put on ice for so long.
I think it's interesting how you've written all these series, and it's the one that you didn't think would do anything that just kind of took off.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize the two things that every author should at the start of their careers, which is one, a good cover will actually make you or break you, and two, you should always trust that when you're going to color outside the lines, it'll probably be better to take that risk. Superhero novels are relatively rare compared to urban fantasy or horror or straight fantasy, and the very fact that I didn't have nearly as much competition there at the start meant that more people were willing to give it a check out. I just lucked out in a number of ways.
Yeah. Now that you say that's probably, there's a lot of there's a lot of competition in urban fantasy. I mean, there's a lot. That's a hard genre to get into and be successful at. But yeah, superhero, there are a few, but not a lot. There really aren't. I think anti-hero is probably picking up quite a bit, as far as that goes. But
I know quite a few of the good names in superhero fiction. Drew Hayes and his Forging Hephaestus and Superpower series are really good there, and we have a lot of crossover in our fandoms there, because when people finish his books, they either read mine or have already finish mine, and we're like, oh, this looks good too.
Yeah.
Never underestimate the benefits of those little Amazon recommendations underneath you.
No, those work well. So you are you strictly with Amazon, or are you wide?
Oh no, I'm not one of those people who can do Kindle Unlimited. I do Kobo and all Smashwords and all these other places that will accept and sell my books.
Okay. Do you find that hard to manage, or is it you leave it up to your publisher, I guess?
I leave it up to my publisher there, but it's interesting to note that Amazon's monopoly does shoot occasionally you in the foot. With Audible, you have a 7-year contract where you basically can't publish with anyone else in that entire time, and it seems fine because everyone buys them from Audible. But recently, there was a bit of a scandal because
the return policy.
Oh yes, that just really was striking right at the wallet of indie publishers that managed to get them their very expensive audiobooks made on their own to compete. It's like, well, big publishers can soak that loss there, but for us, it's like, why, man? You were the chosen one.
Yep. Yeah, that caused a lot of people, including myself, to take their stuff off of Audible.
Oh yeah, well, it's a case there. I'm still under contract on that, but also I'd just rather they fix it than try and intimidate them with my sales are pretty good there, but I don't think Amazon is going to notice if
no.
they take no.
Yeah, no, but on the other hand, I am that whole deal just kind of ticked me off.
Oh yeah, well, it's straight up theft in my opinion, or at least
yeah,
it's pretty much just theft. There's not really much way to say it there if you don't get paid for someone reading your book.
Yeah, and the music industry wouldn't put up with it. They did for a while, but they wouldn't if Amazon was doing it for them. I wouldn't guess, or anybody else. The other thing, you can go to another publisher and go wide with it and still get it on Audible if you wanted to.
Oh yeah.
That kind of stuff. But Audible, I don't know. Just about every author that I've talked to is just like, oh God, another screwing. And they tried to fix it. And I don't think they will, though.
Well, there's a slight benefit in the fact that it's gone from being you don't get paid if they return it within a year's time to you don't get paid if they return it in a week's time. And that is a significant change.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they'll come back and it'll be something else. But I mean, that's just because a lot of big names went after him and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And kind of think I think they did get scared there for a minute, but
well,
I honestly think they'll just pull something else.
I'm sure they will, because you can't trust the evil corporations.
No,
that's why I do Cyberpunk, man.
You cannot trust them. They always have your best interest in your pocketbook in mind.
Oh yeah.
It's all about the
Well,
dollars.
Mm-hmm. And,
all right.
You know,
So anything else you want to talk about?
well, I think that about covers it there. I definitely appreciate talking about all of my books left and right, but we've gone through most of them. I have a hope to continue writing for as long as possible, though, because it's just both something I love doing, and if you can make a living at it, so much the better. As hard as that may be.
It's not a charmed life, is it?
No.
But it is a lot of fun. I'll give you that.
Don't quit your day job, but it's a good supplementary income if you can make it.
It is. It is. It can be very rewarding, and it can also, you can make profits on it. But it's very few people that make profits, and it's even fewer that actually make it a career. So, if you're anywhere as close to that, you've done good work. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and call this to close. It's been a pleasure talking to you, CT. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And if you have any questions or anything, or want to check out CT's books, I'll put the links in the show notes. So you just scroll down. This is Jeff with the DIY Writer Podcast, asking you to please follow me on Facebook, subscribe to my channel, or any kind of medium that you happen to be listening to this podcast on. Go ahead and follow me on those. And if you have any authors that you'd like me to interview, go ahead and shoot me a note. It'd be nice to hear from a couple fans every now and then. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say all of you have a great day and keep your chin up. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Please hit the subscribe button. I get a bonus for every subscriber, and I only need 1,506 more to become a full-time paid employee. Help me, please.